and I joke with this with BT every year. I'm like, is this St. John's year? You're like, oh, this year's the year. Could be it. Now, you were a little bit cautious this year. This could be the season. They finished 18-14. They took Marquette to the brink twice down the stretch. Vast regular season game, and then obviously
that was last weekend. Yep.
Last weekend. It was, I mean, that game was
96-94.
It was ridiculous. It was a fun game to watch. And if they had stole that one, maybe you think a little bit differently. Now, I'm not firing Mike Anderson right now in my mind, but it seems like it's coming to a head at some point. I don't ever want to mess with someone's life, career, things of that
there's
nature.
people involved. I agree with that.
But there's just certain waters that you're starting to read, tea leaves that you're starting to read that are saying Mike's likely going to be out the door. Rick Pitino is a real option. He's at Iona right now. They're in the semifinals of.
Yeah, they're playing tonight. They're in the MAC.
In the MAC, and if he's available, do you go get him?
Oh, he's going to be available. I mean, he's not going to stay at Iona. I mean, the teams are coming.
Yeah.
Georgetown has interest. I think he has interest in Georgetown. It wouldn't surprise me if a Power Fives, big football program came with an incredible amount of money. I don't think Rick wants to move, though, and that's what makes this interesting. Listen, it has been just forget about NCAA tournament for a minute. Forget about that. Like what really matters, the true measuring barometer of any program. St. John's has not gotten to the Big East, the conference semifinals in 23 years.
Wow.
23
the semifinals,
years.
Not even the final.
Not the championship.
Yeah.
The semis. All right? And there's been many different configurations of the conference when Louisville was here and obviously Syracuse, the old guard, and then
Virginia Tech was in it for a minute.
The Hokies were here. That's true. And then, then you had the Marquettes come in, more of a Catholic basketball. They still can't cut through, man. Listen, I've seen a lot. Here at St. John's. My first year was with Mike Jarvis. I think you know
yes,
that. First year, that was not with Mink. Mink wasn't doing the games yet. It was me and Crispino. And it was my first year was Mike's last year. All right? Got fired midway through my first season. Since then, and, when I run down something, it's hard now, in real time, to quibble with the directions that they went. There were some missteps, no doubt.
Yeah.
But they first went for, after Mike, the young, hot, ascending assistant. That was Norm Roberts. I thought that was okay.
Yep.
He's a local kid, Queens kid, recruiter with Billy Self, his right-hand man. Didn't work out.
Yep.
Just didn't work out at all.
By the way, coached a hell of a game against West Virginia.
Yeah, he did.
Because Bill Self, let's hope everything's okay with Bill Self.
Yeah.
He had to go in the hospital. It had a procedure. But Norm Roberts beat West Virginia. They're in the semifinals over there.
Yeah,
so.
I love Norm, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
Great man, didn't work out. Then after Norm, he was given enough time to get it right, didn't get it right. Then he didn't recruit well enough, bottom line. Then they went to kind of the antithesis, the charismatic, the pretty accomplished, never won a championship, obviously, the recruiter, the guy who's going to look good and sound good, presenting the St. John's message. That was Steve Lavin. In hindsight, that's probably the peak of this century, really. Didn't work out the way it was supposed to. Not awful, but certainly not what they were looking for. So now two totally different hires. Then we're desperate. And they go for the program legend in Chris Mullen. That didn't work out at all. Mullen's my idol. I love him. Didn't work out.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for guys.
Did not work out.
You don't realize how much work it is.
They even paid Slice, those who really know the deal, Barry Warson, who was Calipari's top recruiter at Kentucky. They even paid him big money to be Mullen's main. They went all in. They spent money.
Yeah, they wanted him to be successful.
Yeah, I thought they provided him enough for it to work. It didn't. And then they went from Chris and they pivoted to the respected, winning, older head coach in Mike Anderson, who is a terrific human being. Awesome guy, right? Of course you go after Pitino. This is the end of the road here, man.
What is holding them? Is it the NIL stuff?
There's a couple things here.
Is it an antiquated way of looking at where college basketball is?
That used to be a big problem. Now, St. John's fans will vary on their opinions, and I respect that. The AD that they brought in a couple of years ago, Mike Craig, came from Duke, all right? His business sense, and you can see this on game day, ticket sales, like things that I noticed very different. He's good at that. There's been a modernization of the program. And for the first time, this was a huge issue with St. John's. St. John's never looked at the basketball program as a money maker. They never looked at it that way. It was always like, all right, let's hang on. Not this administration. Let's hang on to the glory days. I love Louis. God bless you. Be the best, Louis. Louis Carnesecca, love you. But Louis Carnesecca is a long time ago, man. And, they never put money into the facilities. They just never pushed it forward. It was always the legends. Every time you watch a St. John's games, all you hear, or St. John's game, all you hear the announcer, because that's all they know.
Yeah.
All you hear the announcers say is, oh, Chris Mullin, oh, Mark Jack. It gets old. I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of hearing it.
Tired of saying it, too.
Well, I don't even say it anymore because it's old. Honestly, that was my childhood, but that's a long time ago, man. So, the fundamental issue that they once had, that they no longer do have, and that's good, is that they had unqualified people making basketball decisions. The previous president didn't care about the program. Mm-hmm. The current one does. He came from Providence. Father Shanley is good, okay? He knows they need to change things. Now, if they move on from Mike,
yes,
the target unequivocally must be Rick. And I hear this a lot. It's going to be expensive. And I get that.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
I know. And it's a Catholic school. And I went to Catholic schools are merging. They're not expanding. Mm-hmm. They're either being deleted, I'm talking about grammar schools or high schools, or they're merging. They're like all boys are now co-ed because you have to. Yeah. Not enough students. So there's not a lot of Catholic money. St. John's is not Villanova, all right? They're just not. And when you have a big buyout for Coach Anderson, if they go that route, and then Pitino, who's going to be, commanding an arm and a leg, the problem is it's a lot of money for a school that doesn't have it. But what they need to do is find the money, and I believe that they will. As a matter of fact, I know that they will. They'll find the money. Just trust me when I tell you that. They will find the money. And then while it might hurt at the outset, what Rick Pitino will do is he will make you money, which will then enable you to tear down the venerable but just painfully antiquated arena that they play in, build something shiny, have more infusion of funds to the NIL, which, by the way, they do well. Mike Craig is on top of that. He's good with that. The old business model did not work. They slept on it forever, and they allowed, and this saddens me, they allowed one of the crown jewels of our city, going back to the 50s, to just deteriorate and collect dust and fall to the wayside. I know we got Danny Hurley last night said something after the game. Danny Hurley, UConn coach, who they could have hired last coaching cycle, by the way, but didn't. Danny Hurley said after the game, he said, this is a quote from the UConn coach, which is 160 miles away from here, whatever it is. He said, MSG is our home. We own the Garden. And you know what sucks? No St. John's fan can refute that.
Yeah,
if St. John's administration is honest with themselves, they cannot refute that.
I get the sense that if Rick Pitino comes to St. John's, it's akin to Colorado hiring Deion Sanders.
That's an interesting. It's interesting.
When they asked the AD,
but the difference
Colorado,
is we know that Rick can coach.
Yes.
We think that's
a good point. But I think it's even.
But
less,
I got you in terms
less
of
about the coaching.
Yeah.
Because I remember they asked the AD, do you have the money to pay Deion?
Yeah.
He said, not right now.
And that's a state school, not a Catholic school.
Not right now, but we will.
We'll find it.
We will.
We'll find it.
So you kind of have to put the cart ahead of the horse.
I
sometimes.
agree. I agree. And there's a risk involved in that. I understand that. Let me tell you something right now. If it's Pitino, now if you're asking me if they move on from Mike, do I think they're going to go after Pitino? I do. And I didn't think that a month ago. I do.
Yeah.
I think that with great confidence that they're going to really pursue him. Will they get him? They could. But one more thing to think about. We'll get some calls on everything, but if you want to hit me up on this as well, you can. If they ever announce Pitino as the head coach, St. John's will have a top 15 team in 5 hours. No, you're laughing when he destroys the transfer portal.
Oh, yeah.
Watch what would happen in day one. It's bold.
That's
you go for this.
By the way, that's college basketball.
You can't. I mean,
even Virginia's doing that now.
Yeah.
So,
Teak, I mean, now I'm not young. All right. There's an entire generation that doesn't even know a damn thing about St. John's. If this goes another 10 years, you may as well join the MAC. Yeah. Like they know this. they know that they've got to be bold here. 877-337-6666.